December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. On this fateful day, the world witnessed a pivotal moment in history that would shape the course of World War II. In today's video, we delve into the tragic events surrounding the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, a harbor nestled in the heart of the Hawaiian Islands. Join us as we unravel the untold stories, the strategic implications, and the lasting impact of a day that changed the world. Welcome to Affairs Explorer, where history comes to life. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and let's journey back to the turning point that reshaped the global landscape forever. How long did the Pearl Harbor attack last? Was the Pearl Harbor attack successful? Did the Pearl Harbor attack signal the beginning of World War II for the United States? What is Pearl Harbor like today? All answers of these questions will be given in this video. So let's begin. How long did the Pearl Harbor attack last? The first Japanese dive bomber appeared over Pearl Harbor at 7:55 a.m. local time. It was part of a first wave of nearly 200 aircraft, including torpedo planes, bombers, and fighters. Within a quarter of an hour, the various airfields at the base were subjected to savage attack. Due to Short's anti-sabotage measures, the U.S. military aircraft were packed tightly together at the Naval Air Station on Ford Island and adjoining Wheeler and Hickam fields, and many were destroyed on the ground by Japanese strafing. At Wheeler Field in particular, the destruction was fearful. Of the 126 planes on the ground, 42 were totally destroyed, 41 were damaged, and only 43 were left fit for service. Only 6 U.S. planes got into the air to repel the attackers of this first assault. In total, more than 180 aircraft were destroyed. At the same time, a massive action was directed against Kimmel's fleet. The ships anchored in the harbor made perfect targets for the Japanese bombers, and because it was Sunday morning, a time chosen by the Japanese for maximum surprise, they were not fully manned. Most of the damage to the battleships was inflicted in the first 30 minutes of the assault. The battleship USS Arizona blew up with a tremendous explosion. Riddled with bombs and torpedoes, the USS West Virginia settled on an even keel on the bottom of the harbor. The USS Oklahoma, hit by 4 torpedoes within 5 minutes, rolled completely over, with its bottom and propeller rising above the waters of the harbor. The USS California, the flagship of the Pacific Battle Force, was torpedoed and ordered abandoned as it slowly sank in shallow water. The target ship USS Utah also was sunk. Hardly a vessel escaped damage. The anti-aircraft crews on the various vessels were fairly prompt in getting into action, and Army personnel fired with what they had. But the force of the attack was in no serious way blunted. At 8:50 a.m., the second wave of the attack began. Less successful than the first, it nonetheless inflicted heavy damage. The battleship USS Nevada had sustained a torpedo hit during the first wave, but its position at the end of Battleship Row allowed it greater freedom of action than the other moored capital ships. It was attempting to get underway when the second wave hit. It was struck by 7 or 8 bombs and was grounded at the head of the channel. The battleship USS Pennsylvania was set ablaze by bombs, and the 2 destroyers moored near it were reduced to wrecks. The destroyer USS Shaw was split in 2 by a great explosion. Shortly after 9 a.m., the Japanese withdrew. No one could doubt that the Japanese had gained a great success. The Arizona and the Oklahoma were destroyed with great loss of life, and 6 other battleships suffered varying degrees of damage. 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and other vessels were also damaged. U.S. military casualties totaled more than 3,400, including more than 2,300 killed. Heavy damage was inflicted on both Army and Navy aircraft on the ground. The Japanese lost from 29 to 60 planes, 5 midget submarines, perhaps 1 or 2 fleet submarines, and fewer than 100 men. The Japanese task force retired from the theater of battle without being attacked.
The goal was the destruction of the American Pacific Fleet lying at Pearl Harbor in the Hawaiian Islands.
Was the Pearl Harbor attack successful? In the short term, the American naval presence in the Pacific was severely weakened. However, the Japanese had largely ignored the harbor's infrastructure, and many of the damaged ships were repaired on site and returned to duty. In addition, the Pacific Fleet's 3 aircraft carriers were not present at Pearl Harbor. One had been scheduled to return the day before the attack, but it was delayed by bad weather. American opinion immediately shifted to favoring war with Japan, a course that would conclude with Japan's unconditional surrender less than 4 years later. Did the Pearl Harbor attack signal the beginning of World War II for the United States? The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor marked the beginning of the Pacific War for the U.S., but it did not necessarily mean that the U.S. had become a combatant in the war in Europe. By December 1941, German armies had stalled on the Eastern Front, and it seemed foolhardy for Adolf Hitler to declare war on yet another great power under such circumstances. The Tripartite Pact only obligated Germany to defend Japan if the latter was attacked, not if it was the aggressor. Nevertheless, Germany declared war on the United States on December 11, 1941. Later that month, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill met U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt at the Arcadia Conference in Washington, D.C., and the two agreed on a Europe First policy for the defeat of Nazi Germany. What is Pearl Harbor like today? Pearl Harbor is a U.S. Navy base on the Hawaiian island of Oahu and the headquarters of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. Adjacent to the harbor is Hickam Air Force Base, and the two installations were merged in 2010 to become Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. The USS Arizona remains where it sank on December 7, 1941, and it is preserved as a national cemetery. The USS Arizona Memorial is one of the most visited tourist attractions in Hawaii.